Section 7.6 Pie Charts. In this video we will learn some fundamentals of measuring angles and the definition of a pie chart, how to display data on a pie chart, and how to answer application questions involving pie charts. In this section we turn our attention to pie charts, but before we do we need to establish some fundamentals regarding measurements of angles. If you take a circle and divide it into 360 equal increments, then each increment is called 1 degree. See figure 7.2. In figure 7.2, we see that there are 360 degrees in a circle. A ray is a line that starts at a point and then extends indefinitely in one direction. The starting point of the ray is called its vertex. Figure 7.3 is a ray with vertex V that extends indefinitely in one direction. If two rays have a common vertex, they form what is called an angle. In figure 4.7, we've labeled the first ray as the initial side of the angle and the second ray as the terminal side. So in figure 4.7, we have two rays with a common vertex V that form an angle. We can find the degree measure of the angle by using a device called a protractor. Align the notch in the center of the base of the protractor with the vertex of the angle, then align the base of the protractor with the initial side of the angle. The terminal side of the angle will intersect the protractor edge where we can read the degree measure of the angle. Note that the terminal side of the angle passes through the tick mark at the number 30, indicating that the degree measure of this angle is 30 degrees. Pie charts. Now that we can measure angles, we can turn our attention to constructing pie charts. A pie chart is a circular chart that is divided into sectors, each sector representing a particular quantity. The area of each sector is a percentage of the area of the whole circle and is determined by calculating the quantity it represents as a percentage of the whole. Example 1. In a recent Gallup poll, 66% of those polled approved of the president's job performance, 28% disapproved, and 6% were undecided. Create a pie chart that displays these percentages. Solution. Let's begin with 6% undecided. We want to create a sector that is 6% of the area of the whole circle. There are 360 degrees in a full circle, so 6% of this number is 6% times 360. Change 6% to a decimal, 0.06. Multiply by 360 to get 21.6 degrees. Start with a circle, set the baseline notch of the protractor on the center of the circle, then mark an angle of 21.6 degrees as seen in figure 7.6a. Shade the resulting region as shown in figure 7.6b, called a sector, which represents 6% of the total area of the circle. So in figure 7.6, the sector with central angle 21.6 degrees represents the 6% of the polling sample that were undecided about the president's performance. Next, 28% disapproved of the president's job performance. Thus 28%, which is 0.28 times 360 degrees, is 100.8 degrees. Therefore, a sector with a central angle of 100.8 degrees will represent 28% job disapproval. Place the notch on the baseline of your protractor on the center of the circle, then align the baseline of the protractor with the terminal side of the first angle as shown in figure 7.7a. Mark a central angle of 100.8 degrees as shown in figure 7.7b. This sector contains 28% of the total area of the circle and represents the portion of the polling sample that disapproved of the president's job performance. Finally, as we've shaded the sectors representing 6% and 28% of the polling data in figure 7.7b, the remaining sector in figure 7.7b, shaded in white, represents the 66% of the polling sample who approved of the president's job performance and 66% of the area of the whole circle. Once you've computed and plotted the correct central angles for each of the sectors, you will want to label your pie chart. One possible annotation method is shown in figure 7.8. Example 2. 1,000 people were polled with the question, where does your dog sleep during the night? The responses are shown in the following table. Create a pie chart showing the distribution of these responses. Solution. The first step is to express the number in each location as a percentage of the totals. For example, there were 30 that sleep outside is equal to the what percent P of or times the total of 1,000. Solving for P, we'll divide both sides of the equation by 1,000. So on the left, 1,000 times p divided by 1,000 is p, and on the right, 30 divided by 1,000 is 0.03. Thus, p equals 3%. In similar fashion, divide the number in each location by 1,000 to find the following percents. Note that the individual percents must total 100%. Let's begin with the fact that 3% of the dog owners have their dog sleep outside. To find the portion of the full circle that represents 3%, we take 3% of 360 degrees, so 0.03 times 360, which is 10.8. Start with the circle, set the baseline notch of the protractor on the center of the circle, then mark an angle of 10.8 degrees as seen in figure 7.9a. Shade the resulting sector as shown in figure 7.9b, which represents 3% of the total area of the circle. Next, 22% have their dog sleep in another room, so 22% of 360 degrees is 79.2 degrees. Therefore, a sector with a central angle of 79.2 degrees will represent the fact that 22% of the dog owners have their dog sleep in another room. Place the notch on the baseline of your protractor on the center of the circle, then align the baseline of the protractor with the terminal side of the first angle, as shown in figure 7.10a. Mark a central angle of 79.2 degrees, as shown in figure 7.7a. Shade the resulting second sector with a darker shade of gray, as shown in figure 7.10b. This sector contains 22% of the total area of the circle and represents the portion of the polling sample whose dog sleeps in another room. Next, 33% allow their dog to sleep on the bedroom floor. 33% of 360 degrees is 118.8 degrees. Therefore, a sector with a central angle of 118.8 degrees will represent the fact that 33% of the dog owners allow their dog to sleep on the bedroom floor. Place the notch on the baseline of your protractor on the center of the circle. Then align the baseline of the protractor with the terminal side of the second sector, as shown in figure 7.11a. Mark a central angle of 118.8 degrees, as shown in figure 7.11a. Shade the resulting second sector with a darker shade of gray, as shown in figure 7.11b. This sector contains 33% of the total area of the circle and represents the portion of the polling sample whose dog sleeps on the bedroom floor. Because the first three sectors shaded in various levels of gray represent 3%, 22%, and 33% of the total circular area, respectively, the remaining sector shaded in white automatically represents the remaining percent of 42 of the total circular area. This region represents the percent of dog owners who allow their dogs to sleep on the bed. The final result with annotations is shown in figure 7.12.